It is Thanksgiving weekend. What do we have to be thankful for? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, November the 26th. And of course, we just had Thanksgiving, and it always is the question of what we have to be thankful for. And to tie a little bit of Ronald Reagan into this, Bubba's Bottom Line today is what do you have that is better or worse than it was just 3 short years ago, as we are in, of course, the third year of President Biden. And I think that we have a whole bunch of shit. Okay, I think when you look at what we've got here, we are paying 53% more for gasoline. We're paying 20% more for groceries. And the average earned income is lower today than it was then. I think it's something that you really have to ask yourself as you watch the destruction of, at one time, what was the greatest country of the world, and we will get to that later. But again, we are paying higher taxes. We were promised that there'd be no new taxes, and of course, we are paying more tax money, either through the hidden cost of inflation or through other forms of taxes. It may not be directly as income tax, but we are paying more. More of your paycheck is leaving your pocket, which is really pretty crappy. We have a war in Ukraine that we continue to fund, which should be for no reason. Why should we be funding a war in Ukraine? Okay, again, why are we the defender of Ukraine over Russia or over anybody else? And of course, we know that Zelensky and the balance are making a fortune off of it. And as we look at what's going on with China, China is taking over the United States without firing a shot. Thank you, President Biden. You've done a marvelous job with that as well. So I think as we continue to look around, I'd like you to tell me, and certainly some of you make enough ridiculous comments as it is. I would love to hear your comments on what's going on now and how much better everything is now than we had when President Trump was in office. Of course, we've got certainly much more hatred. Never have seen the amount of hatred that we have in today's world. And of course, since I went through integration and a Jew that was hated during the 60s, I think that I have at least a fair way to speak about this. And I don't see anything that they have done other than try to destroy, as we're watching what's going on in Hamas, with the Hamas and Israelis. And of course, Hamas being probably 100 times the size of Israel. So, again, I think that as we look at what's going on, I don't know that there's anything to be thankful for other than my family and that I'm alive. But as far as what's going on in this country and the destruction we are seeing, and we continue to hear how good a job that President Biden is doing, and do you really think he's doing that great of a job? I've asked this question a number of times in many of the live seminars and webinars that I do, and I've yet to hear anybody say that they are happy with the job. And of course, the approval rate shows you that they're not happy with the job. And I think the biggest swing here is among younger voters that are saying that they're not happy. Okay, now again, we all know about the destruction of the youth. We all know that a lot of them don't want to work. And of course, we're in that key point of every major regime in history, that 250 to 300 year mark of where many start to fail because of the very reasons that, parents work hard to take care of their children, and it goes on. And I would say the last great generation here was those that came from World War II. And again, we spoil our children, and of course it makes it so they don't really want to go to work. And it's a whole vicious cycle of what we've seen over and over again. But I think that we're really being taken advantage of, and never so much as we are now. I think the Federal Reserve is a piece of shit organization that was, of course, started by Warburg, Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan, and the Rockefellers. And that they didn't have your best interest at heart when this was created. Never has there been such a long line at the emergency lending window to borrow money from the Federal Reserve, and never have they been more ridiculous and more moronic at the way they've handled this entire situation, talking about some ridiculous 2% inflation rate, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Again, the one thing I do know is if you let the free markets trade, asset classes will price themselves. Okay, that goes without saying. We know that from selling homes, from selling cars, and everything else we do. The price discovery is the key metric. Okay, but we had the bullshit with the climate change, which is now turning out to be exactly what I said it was when the big news came out and all the BS was talked about. In the meantime, every major country across the globe is pulling out of the climate accord. They are no longer, it is no longer the top of their agenda, realizing that it's a crock, okay, and that it was bullshit. And as I said, I've never been against trying to become a cleaner environment, but you always have to ask yourself at what cost. And at what cost are Americans being tortured to pay for this? Because we do have over a 300-year supply of oil in this country that we could be, at least for now, until they figure it out and come up with a plan. See, we know that the politicians' plan, whichever side of the aisle they sit on, are to fuck you and to take your money. Okay, they don't have any real plan on how they're going to get there. Okay, they haven't started to fix the infrastructure yet. Of course, I know I watch these commercials that tell me what a great job we're seeing with the infrastructure, but I have yet to see it. And the real question you have to ask yourself is the American dream still alive? And I think you have to question that. I think you have to look at the American dream and say, is it still really alive? And again, with what we're seeing now, with the sudden switch trying to get to either Marxism, communism, or socialism in this country, I would say that the American dream is not as alive as it should be. Okay. I think you look at your president who wants you to pay more to get less. Okay. To me, it doesn't sound like a great plan. And have you ever seen as much public anger as you see today? Okay. Have you ever seen as much infighting and backstabbing and things that are going on today in your lifetime? And if you have, hey, I'm sorry for you, but I have never seen it. And again, I was in the center of a lot of it because of what I did and where I came from, and because of being involved in that time, in that era, which was a very scary era. But yet, the markets have hit a low. The fear gauge, as they call it, or the complacency level in the markets has never been lower. And look at what they did to the city of San Francisco. Look at the piece of shit. Look at the dump they turned a once beautiful city into. They turned it into a sewer and a garbage can. Now think about that. And that is just one major city in this country. Look at what Mayor Adams is doing in New York at the cost of the citizens of New York City to help the illegals. And why are we still on this battle to help these people come into this country illegally? Okay, take our money, we pay taxes to support them. Where is the outrage for that? To me, it makes no damn sense, and I'm sick of it. Okay, but again, you've got the professors that say free speech and intellectual diversity are not essential to higher education. Well, yeah, when you're raising a generation of morons, free speech and intellectual diversity is not important. But I don't know that that's the country we wanted. That is not the United States of America that we all know and love and grew up with if you are anywhere over the age of 45 or 50. So I don't think there's a lot to be thankful for as a country. I think that what we have here is a bunch of destruction of the greatest country in the world, and I will get to that in my commentary. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, November the 26th, and we'll be right back after the break with our market report. What's up, kids? Well, we had a great webinar yesterday on some special Black Friday specials. Certainly, if you'd like to get that recording, email me. I'll be happy to send it to you. And you can check it out. But in the meantime, I want you to remember our sponsors. And again, I give you a couple of brokerage sponsors, and That's because those are people that I use. Again, I vet everybody. I would not advertise somebody here that I wouldn't use, just like I don't ever sell a product that I wouldn't use myself or I'm not using myself. But certainly, Capital Trading Group, which is our partner in the day trader's dream, futures and commodities, they are by far the best, the greatest customer service. And I think that one thing you should always remember is use a specialist. Okay, it doesn't have to be CTG. Use whoever you want. But if you're trading futures and commodities, you need a futures or commodities broker, not a facilitator broker. Okay, but check them out, info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba, and it's scrolling on the sides for you. And of course, for equities and options, trade your brokerage. $10 a month saves me $100,000 a year. We can automate your portfolio in our system. Okay, and we've made some great changes, and we just finished our 4th winning week in a row in both the futures and the equities. So really kicking some ass and having some good fun. But again, trade your brokerage is a big part of it because they can automate a lot of that stuff at no charge to you. So again, you're not paying any more for it. You get the option. You get to spec it out the way you want. Wonderful. And check them out, try.trader.com/Bubba. And again, that's also scrolling on the side. And of course, our high school program, which is going to be back in action. Okay, we've got, it looks like we've got a couple of states we're going to get into. So now we're going to be back working it out. So if you want to help us out, go on the bottom link and check it out at our high school investing. And let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and me, Todd Bubba Horowitz, in our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, November the 26th. And of course, the great melt up continues. The overwhelming complacency in this market continues. And look, I'm not going to tell you it's going to stop. We're long. So again, it's not for me to tell you that it's going to stop. There's certainly many warning signs out there. There are certainly many reasons to believe they're not going to go higher, but they're still higher. So you cannot fight what they're doing. Stop trying to get in front of a train that's going to run you over. Okay? If you cannot be long, at least don't be short. You'll have plenty of time. I guarantee it. Okay? In the meantime, as we look at the major markets, the major indices are up big again. Okay, there's an outside chance that they could hit all-time highs. The Dow and S&P probably not. The Nasdaq is pretty close though. So again, but even they could all do it except for the Russell. The Russell still remains the weakest, and of course they have the most debt to deal with, and with these higher interest rates, it makes it a lot different. So in the meantime, as I said, the 4 major indices continue the melt up. The dollar has been working its way lower, and if we did trade the dollar, and we don't, and the reason we don't trade it is simply a money factor. It has nothing to do with what we think of the dollar. We would be short it right now. Okay, hence the euro currency, which we have been long, continues to charge higher. In the Bitcoin, as we've said all along, it's now being recognized as a real asset class, and it has moved up nicely, close to 40,000 once again. The bonds and the notes, which had a little problem on Friday. But overall, look, I hate them. I think they're going a lot lower. But right now, the trend is still higher. And there is no, again, just like in any other product, there is no reason to fight it. Okay, I believe interest rates are going a lot higher, which means bonds and futures, bond futures and note futures should be going a lot lower. The inversion of the yield curve, anything you could think about, there is not a lot of good news for them. But right now, again, they're going higher. So why fight it? Okay, in the precious metals. We are long gold, silver, and of course they are going higher. I think silver is not going to get to my initial target, which I thought would be in the 30s this year. But gold still has an outside chance to make a new all-time high before the year is out. Platinum has made a nice move off the bottoms, still pretty stagnant overall, but had a nice juicy move from 845 to 940. In the copper markets, copper we are long, and it had a week higher. Crude oil is getting hammered. And again, you can bet your ass that Saudi Arabia and OPEC will be cutting production once again. If maybe they'll do it this weekend, maybe they'll do it tonight before the opening. You know, again, I can't tell you when they're going to do it, but I can tell you there's 100% going to do it. They're not going to settle for these low prices when they have us over a barrel, so to speak. Natural gas continues lower. We continue to be short natural gas. In the grain markets, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I think they should be higher. We're short corn. We're short wheat. We're long beans. They all had a rough week. You know, again, it doesn't make sense. And it's going to be very interesting next year when we go into the new planting season now that harvest is over, okay, and see who's going to be able to plant, who's going to be able to afford it. Because remember, you know, the farmers just don't throw seed in the ground. They got to borrow money. There's a whole bunch of the components that go with it. In the meantime, again, we're short corn and wheat and long beans. in the protein complex, which we don't trade, but they got spanked on Friday and they continue to get spanked. Look, I have told you almost every week for the last 2 months, sell cattle because they're way overpriced. Okay, again, they cannot support that price. There's an old saying in the commodities world, high prices will cure high prices, and we're seeing ridiculously high prices. And since the consumer can't afford it, who's going to feed it? Who's going to eat it? Okay, hogs had a rough week, but are somewhat still slightly bullish a little bit. But actually, I changed that. They would be probably short by now that they're below. But I would tend to be, if you're looking for a shot to take, tend to look to be a buyer of hogs. It is a secondary protein. And as we look at the softs, cocoa continues to be higher. We continue to be long. Cotton has been lower. We're short. Sugar is still higher. We're long. OJ has had a higher. We're long. And coffee has been running higher. And we're long that as well. So again, overall, a really good week. Every one of our portfolios made money, and it's 4 weeks in a row now. So it's all pretty good. Can't complain there. Just be careful. Look, again, the market, basically the way that I look at it is a floor trader or a past floor trader. We've got 3 weeks left of trading. And the December expiration, that is the end, although there's still 2 weeks left to go in the year. But Christmas and New Year's, there's typically no action. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm not going to tell you anything. I don't think the big sell-off is going to start before next year now. But again, markets don't announce themselves, and I certainly don't know what's going to happen. So in the meantime, this is our market report. Let's step out for our final break, come back with our commentary, and of course, our football picks. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, of course, I'm not going to go through the whole speech, as you know, by routine. Our sponsors are simple. Capital Trading Group, scrolling on the side, that's our futures and commodities. They're one of our partners in a product. Trade Your Brokerage, which is for equities and options, by far the best. They automate our stuff. We do everything automatically through them. Wonderful place. Check them out on the side. And, of course, our high school program. And now, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, our commentary. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, November the 26th. And, of course, I am thankful for all of you. That I will say. But when it comes to the United States of America, I'm not very thankful anymore. I am sick and tired of hearing everybody tell me that this is the greatest country in the world, because it is still the greatest. However, we are not supposed to be going backwards. We are not supposed to be run by a boob that has no clue, that has got his hands out to every world country looking for money, okay, while he's destroying the people here. Okay, I'm tired of watching our money flow to everybody but the people here. Look at what's going on with the amount of homeless. Look what's going on with the lies about the jobs. Look what's going on about the lies about fixing the infrastructure. We are very vulnerable right now, and China is walking in here without firing a shot and taking over piece by piece the United States of America as they try to bring us into either a Marxist, socialist, or communist regime. And you can send all those nasty cards and letters in telling me that I'm full of shit and this is the best country in the world. Well, again, it is the best until it isn't. And remember that, everybody who continues to ignore the overall problems that we're going through now, okay, when it's time to act, it will be too late because you've sat on your ass too long without taking care of business beforehand. So keep that in mind as you continue to tell me that this is still the greatest when we are going backwards, not forwards. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I can see it. I watch it. Hatred, racism, never been worse than it is today. In the meantime, it is a football Sunday. Okay, we had some football over the weekend, which we did very well. And of course, today we do like 2 games. It's a really crappy card, but we do like the Atlanta Falcons +2 against New Orleans, and we do like the Cincinnati Bengals, or the Bungles, +2 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Have a great rest of your Thanksgiving weekend. As always, I thank you. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. See you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. And I am grateful for all of you. Have a great weekend, everybody.